What's good, world? Welcome back to another episode of Have You Found Your Crown? Specifically, season 1, episode 9. Today's episode, the internet is destroying identity. Now, this one, I definitely feel like it's going to touch a lot of generations, specifically the younger generation, the internet generation. This is no knock. Definitely, I feel like I'm one who continues to grow and try to intercept the new ideas and new ways of the world, but also still holding standards to things that make sense, if that makes sense. I feel that the internet is a beautiful thing and has brought light to so many things and so many cultures and allowed us to travel and uh, experience at home, right? But at the same token, the internet has also destroyed the sense of identity, the sense of um, individualism, and just the sense of being, uh, cool with doing your own thing. I feel like the internet allows and sucks you into a warm wormhole, excuse me, of uh, data and marketing and strategize and strategic ways to like make everything one. And we're definitely experiencing that. I feel within fashion, within culture, within lifestyle, within a lot of things that I love and that this show is about. Um, the theme of this show is social media versus self-image. I feel like those two, and not even versus. We're going to say social media and self-image. We're going to talk about chasing trends, fake lifestyles, validation culture, losing originality, and that I really talked on that within the last thing I just said. As far as the losing originality, I feel like all of those four I'm going to definitely touch specifically, and I feel like a lot of people are going to relate to those topics. Um, and so, yeah, let's get into it. Like always, I appreciate y'all for checking it out. So, guys, like I was saying in the intro, the internet is destroying identity. Today's theme, social media and self-image. I was going to do the verses, but I feel like those two things co-align. And if you have um, watched any of my previous episodes, you'll see that a lot of what I say is specifically within the topics I choose to talk about. I try to make sure they're all aligned, and I try to show you how they're all webbed together at the end of the day. Um, so we're definitely going to start with the first topic, which is chasing trends. I feel we need to specifically talk about the importance of self-preservation, meaning, and I know that's a broad statement, but what I mean specifically within that is, as far as with chasing trends, it's nothing wrong with trends and being trendy. To be honest with you, if you're into fashion and into culture, into pop culture, trends is it, it's a thin line, and you know what I mean. And you're gonna tread lightly with that topic because at the end of the day, we're as within human nature are always going to gravitate towards things that I feel that we like. But the thing about our humanistic nature is we can also be sold and uh, persuade and push certain ways that maybe we wouldn't naturally, you know? And I think that there's a science to that. And I mean, there's a whole business with that marketing, right? Where there are people who their job and career in life is to study people and how to sell to people and how to push things onto people. So that's why I say within these things, it's way bigger than fashion and brand and imaging, because at the end of the day, this is the science that's behind all of this, and this is something that I feel like you should have some knowledge of and obtain some knowledge of to be successful in pushing and creating there's all and there's an array of topics, specifically within chasing trends. But I think the main one is the importance of getting back to like what you do is cool. Like I miss that, I miss that part of the game, that part of like, I think just the world in general, there, so many, it was cool to be unique. It was cool to stand out. It was cool to be different. And that's something that I really hope that, the world can hone back in on and, you know, get back to, because we've become so minimalistic, and it's scary because it's a worldwide phenomenon. And it's not just within shoes and clothes and cars, and it's even down to like the way buildings are constructed and the way businesses are ran, and how they're only becoming a certain amount of companies that oversee, you know, areas of business and areas of the world. And so that it ties back into the importance of self-reflection and having one mind, and knowing like, hey, you kind of got to check back in with your coolness, and make sure you're not following too much. And that goes for everybody, every race, every gender. That to me is super important, and something I don't think people really realize how important that is. You know, I think the next topic uh, is, it goes into this fake lifestyles. And I laugh because if we're not, if you haven't ever seen like such a high amount of false identities, and just like, people really live in certain ways and move in certain ways and doing certain things to uh, obtain, you know, I, I guess validation. And we talked about that last episode. People living for validity. Um, I think a lot of people are masking their personal identities with false narratives, and those false narratives are created because majority of people are chasing trends. Majority of people are chasing what they think or what they hear or what they see is cool, or what, you know and more than likely it's social media. And I hate to just put it on social media, because it's culture in general, but social media is significantly, um, you know a master behind a lot of what's going on in the world. But so when you kind of break down these topics and break down the science behind them, social media for sure is, um, one one main thing to focus on. And if you go in there, you'll see it. How many people truthfully see people live one way on social media, and then when you see them out of social media, they live in totally different. Right? Um, and it's not even just clothes and fun. I mean, even down to like being happy, seeming like they got it all together. Truth be told, they don't. And this is also the propaganda that's pushed. And, it's scary because a lot of the youth is on social media and following social media and following trends and thinking this is the way to go. So it's like that that cycle is only continuing and gaining more traction. And so we have to pay attention to the importance of why stand an individual and stand who you are is way more important than just for yourself. And that is cool. Like, being you is the reason why you're here. Being you is the purpose of you finding your purpose. So you have to have your own self identity to even really find out who you are. Truth be told, that's the truth. And so within the second topic, thick lifestyles, I got into a little bit of validity. But the third topic, validation culture. So in the world of follow, like, uh, approval, you know, validation plays plays such a huge role for a lot of people. And a lot of people don't even begin to make any type of motion that they really want to or that they're even supposed to, because I feel like everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a job to do. And, you know, if you're not going to have motion without approval, then 9 times out of 10, you're going to be stuck where you're at, because no one's going to wake up and just clap their hands and say, hey, good job, keep going, da da da. I mean, you're going to have people along the way, don't get it twisted. But what I mean is the world in general. You have to have like that vision focus. And that's part of the problem too. I think a lot of people, like social media and the internet has uh, allowed people to focus on so many different things, especially specifically with AI now. Like it's it's no more zero in and honing in on your craft and like what you really want to do. I feel like people are kind of falling into this like flowy state. And that's even personally me speaking, um, getting caught up in that. And so I feel like when you're kind of caught up in that flowy state, validation becomes the thing that keeps you going, the thing that allows you to see progress only through that. So if you only see emotion and you're only continuing to go when you see someone is, you know, showing validation for what you're doing. And it's like that's that's not that shouldn't even be the purpose of what you're doing. I said a few episodes back, that's got to be the main thing before you get into this creation, business, uh, whatever you want to call it. You got to know what you want to do. And that's just in life. I hope whoever's listening really hone in on that if you don't take anything away from this episode. Really sit down and write, what do I want to do in my life? If you haven't already figured that out. And for those who have figured that out, I salute you. I just recently had to write that down. And I was really kind of perplexed that I did not have an answer that was written down so quick. And so these last few days, I've really been pondering and honing in on the vision. Only what's ahead. Not what's on the side, not what's behind, only on what's ahead. And what's ahead is, if you don't know what's ahead, that's why you keep going. It's figuring it out, not being distracted by things. And we're not, and that's the thing about, I feel like, about us as humans, we're not dumb. We're not. We know what's right and what's wrong. We really do. And that's sometimes a part of success as well. Maturity and realizing that, hey, at some point you have to grow up and listen to that inner you that been talking to you for a while. I thank God that I've gotten to a point where I can really accept that and appreciate that for myself as well. Listening to that inner me that has always been there and had the answers. You know, I'm not going to get preachy and but I believe in God, so I believe that that's God. So when you have that inner you talking to you, know that sometimes you have to listen to that. And so validation isn't something to be living for. It isn't something to create whatever you want to be a creative around. When you know what you want to do and you know what you want to create, you start with that. and you continue to do it and you build from there. And that's what it's about, you know. And so, like, the last topic is that this one is a good one. Losing originality. I feel like too many people are becoming copies of everybody else, and that's mentally, um, that's how they present themselves, that's how they express themselves. It's it's not it's almost like it's being original, a topic anymore. I almost kind of feel like you'll sound like an old head or like if you say that, because that isn't something that people really pay attention to anymore. Or I don't feel like that's something on, people's radar as far as to be original and the importance of originality. And when we think about all of the great things that have come about in creations, like, yes, I know at the end of the day, I'm not the first to do something. You're never the first to do it. We've been on Earth for a long time, so it's all about progression. And it's like, oh, I may not have done it first, but I've done it better. And I feel that we're in a place where it's not about being inspired by things. It's about actually taking things and people being like, oh, this is what I like, this is what I want to do, this is mine. And it's like that's has gotten us to a very pivotal place where uh, we're allowing machinery and the internet to even be our brains now and tell us what to do, and even down to social media, like when to post and how to post. It's like, once again, these are supposed to be tools and creations that were created to help you as a creative and to, help you with tasks and help you with quick information and to help you stay organized, but not to be, you know and not to take over like your like identity down to how you walk, talk, dress, all of these things. So we have to remember the importance of not wanting to lose our originality and not caring or giving a damn about validation culture and not having fake lifestyles to mask who you really are, to not be a person that chase trends but be a trendsetter. And it's important. And so with that, I leave you. Have you found your crown is about all of these things and about becoming who you are meant to be and being your best and being the best creative and having a place that you could come back to and get some gems and get some inspiration and learn some things. We're only going to continue to get better. Like I said, this is just like an introduction to just what this is about. This first season, the second season, we're going to get more, you know, specific into things and possibly do some interviews and just do a lot more than just sit downs. But this will always be like the main course of the show because I want people to hone in and really pay attention and learn things. Like always, I appreciate you all. Have you found your crown? Brought to you, Gali. Make sure you're following at Gali Crown. Check you all on the next one. Peace.